Good morning, everybody. I'd like to welcome you to the Anti-Bullying Advisory Committee meeting for February 25th. Let me apologize. We were trying to make sure we had all the members here for the meeting here in person because of the regulations regarding meetings and quorums. But we are going to go ahead and get started. I appreciate everybody coming today, and I hope everybody will bear with us a little bit. It's a little bit difficult. We're separated. We all have our mask on. I'm not sure about the quality of the microphones. I trust they're good, but we never know. So if you'll bear with us a little bit, we'll all learn as we go along, and I think we can still have a productive meeting. At the moment, we do not have a quorum in person, so this is a discussion meeting rather than a decision-making meeting. If we do gain a quorum before the end of the meeting, of course, we can vote on any issues that we'd like to bring before the group. Why don't we start, Eva, with a roll call? And if you will, just let us know, so say hello and remind everybody of what you do or something so we can kind of reconnect a little bit. We're all separated by either virtually or big desk with plexiglass separation, so it's a little hard to see and connect with everybody. So Eva?
Tom Avino?
Hi, I'm here. Thank you.
Wanda Dunmore?
I am here, thank you.
Wanda Flowers? Let's see if she is on.
Good morning.
Good morning, Rhonda.
Hi.
Julio Granda? Corporal Lindsay? Dr. Massey?
I'm here.
Joshua Crystal? Jennifer Shiver?
I'm here, and I'd like to introduce my intern, Courtney Bobo.
Welcome. Angie Smith?
Hi, I'm here appearing remotely.
Corporal Ellick? Hold on. Jeannie Wilsey? And Michelle Young-Williams.
Thank you.
Dr. Massey, we're one short of the in-person quorum.
Okay, thank you. So we are one short of a quorum, so we will delay approval of the minutes. If we do have a quorum later on, we'll come back to that. The major part of the business today is I had asked Kimberly Menendez from the Mendez Foundation to give us an update on the project that we had funded with her. So Kim, if you're ready, I'm going to let you take over and give us your update.
Hi, good morning. Thank you for having me. So we are just about finished developing the card game. Just to refresh everyone's memory, I work with I'm a program developer at the Mendez Foundation, and we are making a cyberbullying prevention workshop for parents with teens with online access. And one portion of the workshop would be a take-home card game to play with for teens and adults or teens and parents to play together. And so we needed to, for production timeline purposes, we needed to develop the game first. So we have done so. It is about to go soon to layout and design, and it'll go to print. We have tested it with, I would say, about 10 families in Hillsborough County and have gotten positive feedback from both the parents and the teenagers. The game plays, well, actually, what I wanted to do is I spoke to Jennifer Shiver and Eva and Josh Crystal and Julio, and I just wanted to thank you. Were tremendous in helping me put together some scenarios from your expertise to include in the game. So I wanted to thank you for that. Thank you for participating and helping with the development. And I'll probably be picking your brains again as we get to develop the workshop. But the game works a little bit like Cards Against Humanity or Apples to Apples. And we have scenarios that range that will discuss or provide examples of actual cyberbullying, cyber aggression, and online safety, and overall good digital citizenship, as that is, if teens can develop good digital citizenship, that should help them avoid the pitfalls of the internet where they might find themselves in a cyberbullying situation. And a little bit of dating violence, digital dating violence, is in the game. We have some challenge cards, cyber challenge cards in the mix that have been helpful for families to really gauge their technological use capacity, as well as their teens. So for example, one of the cyber challenges, in order to win the card, would read like, on Go, be the first person to find a block user option in an app. So you need your cell phone or a tablet or a computer to play the game. And so everybody races to try to do that skill, and parents really appreciate that, and teenagers really like to shine with their ability to find those things. And of course, all of them are geared around internet safety, some use within apps, some searches to report online bullying, and those have been very favorable in the deck. And then we also have the idea of this game is for parents and teens to actually have something to discuss. We hear so often, talk to your teens, but a lot of us may not know what to say. And teens have a lot to say about their online use. So also in the deck, we have what are currently, and this may change, something called Hear Me Out cards, where in order to keep the card, you must share. You can't just say, I agree or disagree, but you must explain why you agree or disagree with the statement. And it has produced a lot of discussion among families. One example, and it allows a little bit of role play. So if you're a parent and you draw this card, you kind of put yourself in the place of a teen, or you might be a teenager that draws a card that might be from the perspective of a parent. So one example, this is obviously from a teenager's perspective. Hear me out. If teens pay for a portion of their cell phone, parents do not have the right to check their cell phone. So the individual who drew that card would share their opinion, and of course it brings a lot of discussion to the table in the families. And then predominantly the cards, like I said, play like Apples to Apples or Cards Against Humanity. So one example would be someone created a fake account of a kid at school and posted a picture of him changing in the locker room. It is going viral. You should. And then everybody has 5 cards in their hand that range from online actionable, like delete it, keep scrolling, block user, report it within the app, or report it to the school. There's some social emotional learning skills like show empathy, show self-respect. And then there's just funny ones that we put in there, like unplug the router or get a flip phone. Another example is your teen cyberbullied a classmate. The principal and the school resource officer show you evidence. You should have your teen. And then again, everybody in the group puts one card in. If you haven't played Apples to Apples or Cards Against Humanity, the person reading the card will mix up the answers and choose the best card, and that is the person who wins that scenario card. So it has been an absolute delight developing this game. It's been great working with families in the community and all of you to develop it. I am still looking, as I move into the next phase, to develop the workshop portion. I still would love to pick the brains of anyone on the committee that is with school resource, that is a school resource officer or just a law enforcement officer in general. So I don't know if there's any volunteers, I could get in touch with you to speak. And of course, anyone who would like to help contribute just knowing that you would be, an expert and out in the community that I could pick your brain as we continue to develop this, it would be very helpful, as it has been. So that's pretty much it. Thank you.
Thank you, Kim. So our SRO was called away today, so they weren't able to attend. However, we can have Eva contact all the members again and have a chance to contact you. Let me ask a few questions, and I'll also like to open it to the committee. So just so I'm really clear, so this is really aimed at a family. I think the card game is most appropriate for a family situation. And have you thought about, I think 2 questions right off the top of the head for me. One is the schedule to produce it. I know you have talked with me very briefly about that, but if you could let the committee know. And 2, how would you perceive the best way to get it out into the community? Is this something you would, I don't know, check out of the library? Is it something you would distribute to schools? Can you help us, give us
Yes.
some information?
Okay, so the card game is actually going to be part of the workshop. So when we are ready to go, after we've developed the entire workshop, we will then conduct the workshop in Hillsborough County. So the card game originally, as in our contract, is that the Mendez Foundation will do, I think it's about 10 workshops, I think. I'd have to go back and look. I can't quote myself on that. And the card game is actually given to the participants. It's part of the workshop. But then, yes, the card game very much, could be available for people to get should they want it. But as it stands now in the contract, it is just part of that deliverable to the participants in the workshop. So the workshop, we believe, will look like about a 45-minute informative segment. This is where I need some assistance with law enforcement, SROs, just to help them understand a little bit more about the limitations that police officers might have in cyberbullying situations. And then the workshop will break into peer groups where the parents, the attendees, which would just be parents, would, play the game with their peers and also learn how to construct an online code of conduct with their kids. So this game is something that they will use in the workshop, but then they will take it home. And the idea is that it is, that application piece, I went to this workshop, now what do I do? How do I begin this, with my teen? Well, it's through the game. And that the production of the card game, we actually send overseas to get made. So that's why this is going first. And all of this should be complete. I didn't even think to look at the contract, but we're looking to have this complete and ready to go and to begin doing workshops at the start of school this fall.
Okay, thank you. Any members of the committee have a question or a comment? And if you're here in person, raise your hand, and I'm going to try to check the screen here to make sure we don't have any questions from those who are attending virtually too. Any questions or comments from the committee? How about anybody online?
Dr. Massey?
Yes.
It's Julio. I did have a question. How many people per workshop were you thinking, or how many cards, decks were you thinking of creating?
We have, I'm so sorry that I didn't bring what the contract is. I don't know, Eva, if you recall even. I don't recall. I mean, it will be significant. I know that we're doing, we will do 10 workshops. And then, and that is, we will do 10 workshops for parents, but then we will also train anybody within the community that then would like to take it and do the workshops themselves. And I honestly don't remember the numbers of card games. And I think it's about, I don't want to say, it's not over 30 for each workshop.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Julio, did you have any follow-up question?
No, that was it. Thank you.
And Julio, I can follow up with you on that.
Kim, perhaps you could just follow up in a note to Eva so we can include it in the minutes.
Yes, I will do.
Let me ask one more question. So when we have these workshops in the community, is this something that the committee should work with you to identify the appropriate sites for these workshops? I'm thinking perhaps PTAs, perhaps at the library. Where would we like to do this?
I think the libraries, any community organizations that parents might, be found outside of the school, even outside of PTSA. I think that we had talked about different organizations at one point that might be helpful to reach out to. If there's parents at Boys and Girls Clubs that could come. We just haven't been, but we would definitely, hope the committee would help us to arrange for the workshops to occur from those areas. I recall that the committee kind of brought this need to our attention, that there was this gap in prevention for parents. So we would look forward to working with the committee to identify different nooks within the community that we could present these workshops to.
All right, thanks, Kim. So I think that's a concern for the committee to discuss, to identify potential locations for the training, the workshops. Kim, if you can stay on the line, we may have more questions, but to try to get back on track, we do have a quorum now. So Eva, would you mind, well, we've already done the roll call. So perhaps we could review the minutes for a moment and have a motion and a second to approve. Do we have a motion to approve?
I'll make a motion to approve.
Thank you,
And I'll
Tom.
second it.
Who was the second?
Can we have
Julio?
a single second?
Got it.
I believe we all spoke at the same time. Can we have a single second? I'm not sure who did it.
I second it. It's Julio.
Thank you, Julian.
All right, got it.
Okay, appreciate that. I didn't mean to cut off the conversation about the cyberbullying workshop. Do we have any other comments or questions from the committee? Again, if you'd raise your hand, yes.
So I have a private practice outside of school, and mostly what I'm seeing right now, and this is kind of interesting phenomenon, I think, but I'm seeing a lot of faith-based issues right now. I think partially because things were shut down and now they've come back, but I think maybe we need to target some maybe churches, maybe youth groups, might invite the Mendez Foundation into some of those to do their workshops as well. That's a good place to get community, and churches right now want outreach so they can advertise as well.
Absolutely. And just to, because I forget this too, because we're always working, predominantly with teenagers. One of the things, if everyone just remembers that this workshop is for parents, not necessarily for teens, if you just keep that in your head, because I've lost sight of that a few times, and we even thought, oh, let's, get a bunch of teenagers and try this card game. The dynamic is entirely different if the parents are not there. The intent, is for parents. So just as you are brainstorming locations and populations, just keep that in mind, that it would be for the parents of teens at those churches. But that is great. Thank you.
Thanks, Kim. And for our planning purposes, if we were to try to identify some appropriate locations or appropriate groups, when would you think, and we can finalize later, but can you give us some thought as to when we might want to think about scheduling these? Is this something for July, or I think you did say?
Yeah, we would need to do some field tests, and that would be during the summer. But the actual, when we get the product back and it's, an official looking card game and not just, mock up card stock and, I'll have a manual. That is, we set for the fall. And I want to say September or the end of August. But we would still need to do some field testing of the workshop portion. I had imagined getting in touch with Julio, to probably do some at the library and recruit some parents there. That was just off the top of my head or my first go-to. So if you have organizations that might like to participate, round up some parents and we could use their facility to do some field tests, I would say by July.
Okay.
I just want to add something. Libraries right now are it's a very unstable environment. We have half of our libraries still closed doing curbside. We were about to open on Monday, and I heard through the grapevine that they're at 25%, no meeting room use, that we're pushing it back because they're activating more staff.
And you kind of froze up there, Julio. Are you still speaking?
No, you're good.
Okay. I wanted to say that we are also in light of COVID, we are also making this workshop deliverable virtually. So if that's the case, then, as we get closer to the summer and, should there be any, light at the end of the tunnel for us or organizations that may, be okay with somebody coming in or having small groups. If there isn't, then I would be looking to, just ask any of you to reach out to parents with teenagers who use the internet if they would like to participate virtually in a field test. That's the field test portion. That would be this summer.
And how many people would be in a field test workshop?
I would say probably about maybe 10 parents, especially if it was virtually. I don't know how much larger I would want to go with that.
All right, thank you. So we don't need to discuss this perhaps further at this meeting once we've made sure everybody has all their questions answered. I think for the next meeting, if we can, people can come with some ideas for potential participants, particularly for the field test of the workshop. I think if you have associated with your church, if you're a member of a PTA, if you know somebody who's in a PTA here in Hillsborough County, perhaps we can investigate those opportunities so we can help Kim and the Mendez Foundation line up some of these virtual workshops, for the field test particularly. I think obviously getting it out in the community is always a big issue. I think this is a great idea. I think it's very much needed in the community. However, to get it out to the public is going to obviously be a little difficult. It always is. So we need to think about constructive ways of engaging folks. And I think the Boys and Girls Clubs, I think churches, I think they're all good opportunities. We just have to actually make the linkages, identify the exact people we would like to ask to participate. And it's not a lot of time, and I don't think it's a lot of effort. My guess is parents might enjoy it. So if you could all think about that, and we'll revisit that at our next meeting.
And I wanted to add, Dr. Massey, because again, even as I do this, regularly, when we're doing the field test, or what I would like to just have you tuck in your back pocket is the field test is just to work out the kinks and to do, a lot of editing. So as for this summer, as we look to the summer, it wouldn't be about advertising and getting large groups of people to participate, because then we have less people to actually sign up for the workshop when it's final. So for this summer, it would just be simple, handful of parents, a few times perhaps as we work out the kinks, to just join me online to attend the workshops. The more pressure for the committee as the fall rolls around than the summer, if that helps at all.
No, that's very helpful. Thank you.
Chairman, this is Angie Smith. Can I be recognized?
Yes, go ahead.
I'd just like to volunteer or to see what the possibility is about linking with some of the staff at juvenile diversion programs.
Please.
With the individuals that they have coming through who are sanctioned for bullying. Maybe we could have a linkage. I could provide the information, contact information through Eva, and a couple of them could volunteer to participate. Some of them have children, and they may be able to participate because they've been the ones doing the sanctioning and they have some frame of reference. Do you think that would be helpful?
I do. And remember that there is our goal in our contract is the Mendes Foundation will actually conduct workshops directly to parents, but the ultimate goal for sustainability and for it to continue to be a thing is we are also going to provide, I think it's 4 trainings, like TOT trainings, where people within the community, if they are, like, that would be great for the staff at the juvenile diversion program to become facilitators of this workshop. So that would look like, I'm a staff member at the juvenile diversion program. Let me invite these parents that I know in to do a workshop. So it's kind of a 3-pronged thing. We have the card game, which is to target the teens and their adult caregivers or their parents. But then predominantly what we really are trying to target, because there is, as you know, bullying prevention in the schools that hits the teenagers. We are really trying to target parents. So the idea, the goal for sustainability would be that people within our community that interact with parents, host their own training and conduct the training or the workshop to parents. So that's a great source. That is a great source. Thank you for that.
Thank you. Jeannie, not to put you on the spot, but with Hillsborough County Children's Services, is this a good match for your staff at the Children's Services?
I do think it would be. I'm actually taking some notes to go back and ask. So when you had said you wanted ideas for next time.
Please turn on your microphone.
Sorry. So I said it was a good match. So what I was thinking was when you asked for us to have ideas for the next meeting, I was going to go back today and actually start talking to some of the administrators and see if we could not only, try to engage families to participate in the field study, but we do provide services for JDP. And so maybe we could also, if JDP would, be interested in collaborating with us, maybe we could do something there. So that's in my notes. So I'm not on the spot.
Excellent.
Thank you. Good. So any other questions or comments? Anything for Kim? Any other discussion points we'd like to cover? All right, well, let's move on. Kim, if you're available, you're more than welcome to stay on the line. There may be something that arises later.
I'm actually going to go grab the contract so I can get back to you on on Julio's questions.
Oh, I appreciate that. Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you.
I'll be right back.
So why don't we move on, and Kim can return and give us some feedback on the contract aspects. One of the other things that was not on the agenda today, but old business, from our last meeting, we had talked about a speakers bureau, and Tom had volunteered to talk about a little bit about the idea of a speakers bureau, or how we might provide either live or pre-recorded sessions. Tom, do you have any updates or any comments you'd like to add from that?
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you, Dr. Massey. First, I wanted to see about an appetite for forming some sort of subcommittee for this. I view our role with this as, our goal and our role is to inspire dialogue. And just to have some sort of central repository like what they just talked about in the Mendez Foundation, to go out with meetings, ad hoc meetings at request, and just really expand the field of where we're delivering these messages to. I don't see that happening in a very robust way now. So I wanted to see about putting some sort of subcommittee together, and hopefully Kim would be interested in participating in that as well. Kind of combining the content we already have in some sort of organized fashion, and then we can train the trainers, so to speak, on who's willing to go out there. I really see this is kind of getting into our next part, Dr. Massey, but I see for 2021, at least for my goals for what I'm looking for this, is fundraising and a very robust speaker committee, and I see those as being similar and really working together, because they're going to have some qualities that we're going to be able to leverage both sides on. I just think there's some real untapped potential in where we can go with this. Even with the Mendez Foundation, it sounds more limited for this particular piece for the seniors, or for the teenagers. But to go out, like we said, to the Boys and Girls Clubs, to really leverage the foster community and get into foster homes and start delivering these messages. I know it's not called MAP training anymore, I forgot what it's called, but to add maybe a piece of this and have one of us speaking at one of the MAP trainings that they have, whether it's virtual or not, engage the guardian ad litems that are dealing with children on a regular basis that can have some of these materials and have the resources to go back to. So I think we can really do a lot of good in getting this out there. A real grassroots approach. Farmers markets are open and they're fun. We could put a tent out there, see who wants to volunteer to hand out materials. Like I said, if we have people talking about bullying, then it's some kind of awareness that it's not acceptable. I could tell you with fostering, because I am a foster parent, just in the past couple of weeks, and of course not disclosing any specifics here that, to give away any identities, but one child removed for physical altercations with other children. So those other children that are left there would certainly benefit from some sort of dialogue about bullying. And another child that had to move, was displaced from their home because the other children were bullying this child because of a physical problem that this child had. So I think there's some real opportunities there, and with the Mendez Foundation as well, to get this out there. And like I said, a central repository for everything we have. I know Eva, we have some nice materials. Mendez has some wonderful materials. And then when we get the Speakers Bureau going, these are the partners we're going to work with to do our fundraising. So we have the money in the capital to start going forward and doing more things. So I guess what I want to ask now is, do we have an appetite to start looking for a subcommittee? Could we start asking for volunteers? And what would the next steps be for us to get that going?
I think we could exercise a motion to develop a subcommittee, and if we have support from the committee, we'll do it.
Okay.
So would you like to make a motion?
Yes, I would like to make a motion to form a subcommittee for exploring the potential on a Speakers Bureau and what that entails.
Okay, thank you. Do we have a second?
This is Angie Smith. I will second.
Thank you, Angie. So any discussion or further question before we vote on this? Yes.
I think we mentioned this last time. If we do that, I would like to see that we have some mental health professionals if dialogue happens, and at those meetings, at those speaking venues, so that we can address issues if they come up with students or people, parents, whomever, employees who have been bullied. So I'd like to see a mental health professional along with that Speakers Bureau at each location, just saying.
And that's in the minutes as well from last time. They actually included it in the minutes, and it's a great idea. So, and that's part of the thing we write out, and we write out our process on what we're looking for a Speakers Bureau to try to mandate that for certain type of speaking events. There's a lot of detail we can come back with once we form this.
And I think a subcommittee is a perfect venue. We are naturally a little bit clunky because of the way we're organized, but I think a subcommittee would have the opportunity to discuss a little more, to brainstorm and kind of write out the particulars. And of course, having a mental health professional, I think in the minutes it also mentioned training in mental health first aid. Those kind of details could be outlined, I would presume, in something that the subcommittee put together. And we'd know exactly what we needed, we'd know the resources, and we could know how to move forward. So I think it's a great idea too. Just as my 2 cents worth. Anybody else have a comment? Anybody virtually have any other comments? So we've had a motion and a second to establish the subcommittee for Speakers Bureau. And I think I won't try to repeat exactly everything Tom said. Let's go ahead and call the vote. All those in favor, please signify by raising your hand if you're here. If you're online, you're more than welcome to say aye. Try not to do it all at once. Thank you. Appreciate that. That was very organized. Any opposed? I see none opposed. Any abstentions? No, I see no abstentions. It's passed unanimously. So I think, Tom, are you proposing yourself as chair of the subcommittee?
I would be happy to, yes. Thank
Okay, would you like to request some volunteers today?
Well, yes, I mean, that doesn't generate typically a great response. We can ask now and then maybe follow up with an email and see if anyone else wants to add their names to the list. I don't know if Kim is back yet. I'd certainly love to have her participation on this as well in some form. But yes, if there's anyone that would like to volunteer now, I'll take the names down, and then perhaps Eva can send an email to see if there is anyone else that wants additional information or is interested in this.
I just got back to my seat and I missed what you were talking about. I apologize.
That's okay. Forming a speakers subcommittee. So we just approved forming a speaker subcommittee to look at getting content out into the community more on a grassroots level, certainly leveraging with the wonderful pieces that you've come up with and trying to come up with some sort of central repository that we can see what materials we have available and somewhat tailor that to the type of speaking event. Foster homes, foster parents, foster training, guardian ad litems, farmers markets, just a lot of different opportunities.
Yes, I would love to help you with that.
Okay, that's wonderful. Thank you.
So if anybody's prepared today to volunteer, if you'd like to.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So for Eva's sake, state your name and say you're willing to do it.
Wanda Dunmore, I volunteer.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Jennifer Shiver, volunteer.
Thank you.
Kimberly Menendez, volunteer.
Thank you. And some of you may have to think about other obligations, so by all means, Eva, if you could send a note out to all the members, and of course, we do have a few who are not here today. And Tom, if you would like to draft a few sentences, or I can draft it, either one, to send to Eva for her to distribute to the members.
I'll do that. I'll send just some basics, and then once we gather some members, we'll make sure we have something to bring back to the next meeting, just in the direction we're hoping to go in and see what the board thinks about it.
And as a point of order, if we form the subcommittee, can they meet before? I don't believe we have to approve the meeting of the subcommittee. I wish we, Eva, would you know a point of order with regard to that?
I have to look, I'll research the
Okay.
bylaws.
Okay, pending Eva's finding out, what the rules are, it may be that you can meet at your convenience.
Okay, that'd be great. Yeah,
As a
that's,
subcommittee, does it have to be noticed?
I'll find out.
Okay, it may have to be because it's a subcommittee of the AVAC. I'm not 100% sure.
Dr. Massey, do you mind if I share the details of our deliverables for this project?
No, go ahead, I appreciate that.
Okay, so the Mendez Foundation, so our prevention specialists would conduct 10 facilitated workshops. So we would facilitate 2 parents 10 times. And then the facilitator trainings, which would be us training, community agency members that might interact with parents. We would conduct 4 of those. And then we have here 25 participants per workshop, but that might look a little differently if it's virtually. That might be a little bit too large to do virtually. And even, if we don't get a break here with COVID, that might be a little bit too large to do, face to face. So we might have to break that up a little bit. But, and that comes with the 1,000 sets of the family activity sets, which is basically the card game. And then there would be 40 facilitator guides. So basically those 1,000 sets and the 40 facilitator guides will be then left, given to the county to then carry on conducting the workshops.
All right, thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
So with 1,000 sets, I think there's certainly an opportunity for thinking about distribution and how we might get it out into the community.
Well, remember that they would, if they wanted to, they attend the workshop, they actually get the game. They will get that card game, a little box, with the cards. I think there's extra in there, should they want to get another one for another family. But the initial way that this card game would get out there would be by attending the workshop.
Understood, yes, thank you. All right, anything else? Any other questions now that we've heard from the specifics of the contract? All right, thank you. So the other new business, and Tom has already alluded to it, was the ABAC objectives for 2021. This is something that we had not discussed at a previous meeting. Obviously, we have tried to stay active across the years, and we did the posters and the brochures one year. We did SAVE programs another year. I'd like to take just a few minutes to hear comments from the committee regarding how what our emphasis might be this year. As you all know, we've also had the anti-bullying award every year, and we've had a subcommittee deal with that. And this is about the time, or very shortly by the next meeting, where we talk about the awards. I think those have been very well received in the community. I think very deserving, excuse me. Young people have won those awards in the past. It's going to be a little difficult this year because of, COVID. So many people are virtual, so many classes are virtual. But I think we should entertain the idea of whether we will do this the same way if we feel like it's not feasible. And I think there's some other ideas I'd like to discuss too. So if we could perhaps, does anybody have any comments or feelings, particularly those associated with the school? Just for a refresher, for those members who may not have been around, I think most of us were, we had an annual award for a young person who had done outstanding work in anti-bullying. And my memory is so bad, Eva or someone else can remind the rest of the group the names of the young people who received the awards, but every time it's been a pretty amazing young person who's really done something outstanding for the community with respect to, building respect, reducing bullying, acknowledging the concerns of bullying in the schools or in the communities. And it was a small cash award where we had community businessmen who donated funds for the award. And what we've done in the past, of course, is about this time announce the award, the competition, and solicited individuals who might be worthy of it, so that by August we could make the decision, and by October we could have the presentation of the Board of County Commissioners meeting. So let me just stop there. What is the thinking of the committee with regards to doing that this year? Should we just plow ahead? Are we crazy to plow ahead? And that's a smile that you're not seeing under my mask. What do you think we should do?
I think we should absolutely plow ahead. We are somewhat committed to this as an annual type of event, and even maybe do more with getting the word out there about this program and this opportunity. It certainly, as we know, didn't stop just because of COVID. It took on a different look. So I would imagine some of the responses we get back and some of the applicants are going to have a different type of experience with this, but it's just par for what we do here. So if anything, I'd like to see us even move forward more aggressively and make sure that everyone is aware of the schools, library, wherever we want to do this. Again, it just aligns with the Speakers Bureau because we would get this out there as well. But I don't think we should slow down on this at all.
Well, thank you, Tom. I appreciate your sentiment.
I'm Josh Crystal. I'm new. I don't even know do I hit the button or are you good?
I think you're on, yeah.
Okay. I want to second that. I think anything positive right now is something really important to hold on to. As far as student discipline goes, these behaviors are still occurring. With students on e-learning, it's probably happening more so than it had before. We are assuming it's not happening because they're not here, but they're actually online more. So I don't disagree. I think even being more aggressive and seeing what's happening online, and when they do come off of e-learning, it is spilling into the schools. I agree, and I apologize for being new, and I did not see what it was before. So I'm all about more aggressive positivity, so on any level. So I absolutely agree.
All right, fantastic. Thank you. Any other comments? Anybody? Julio.
Yeah, I agree too. I think that anything positive in the community is something that we should be addressing. And we're kind of committed. We've been doing it now for a few years. We shouldn't stop.
Good. I appreciate the sentiment. Eva, I apologize. As I said, sometimes I'm afraid I am getting old. I don't remember everything. I believe that we began advertising by March, if I'm not mistaken, last year. So I think we should make sure that we address this in our March issue, in our March meeting, the issue in our March meeting. And in the past, we have had a subcommittee to kind of spearhead the review of the applications. And Josh, I think in the past, one of the ways we advertised or got the word out was through, I want to say, Peach Jar. And I believe we can get you the description of the award and the process that we've used in the past. I think we had flyers as well, if I'm not mistaken. So I can. Eva, do you have those flyers?
I do.
If you can send it to me for any updates, I'll update it. We'll get it out to the members of the committee. Is Peach Jar something that you're able to access to?
This is the first I've known, but I am learning new programs as a.
Yes. We had somebody else had a
Dr.
comment.
Massey?
Yes.
Raymond Padgett, Partnership Engagement for Hillsborough County Schools. I run the Peach Jar system, and we have our e-flyers go directly to our parents. So I will be able to assist with this, and when we're ready to get some numbers for the Mendez, we can also use Peach Jar for that. Be happy to help you with that.
Okay. Well, thank you. I didn't realize you were on. You were virtual today. I'm
Oh,
glad
that
you're with
is.
us.
Thank you for sharing that. I've been wanting to use Peach Jar as a resource for some time, so that might be very helpful. Thank you.
Sure thing.
Okay, so for our next meeting, then we will have on the agenda the discussion of our annual award, dealing with the development of the subcommittee. And I do appreciate the past couple of years where we've had, Jeannie, I think you were chair of the subcommittee both years. We could dispense with that right now if you're, and I'm smiling again because I'm assigning something. If you're willing to be the subcommittee chair again, we'd be more than thrilled if you could do that.
I would love to be the subcommittee chair again. Thank you.
All right, well, thank you. Would you like to recruit subcommittee members now, or would you like to, is that all right for next meeting?
We can do that for next meeting, but I'd like everybody, if you would like to be on the committee, to just think about the time commitment is not a great deal. We take several sessions to review applications and nominations. Eva then often has to go and do some follow-up, but then we make the decision. So I do want to let you know that using the virtual platform is also very helpful now to speed it up following, any, for follow-up, et cetera. So it's not a huge time commitment. It is extremely rewarding. The nominations are amazing. So it's definitely aggressive positivity, to quote somebody.
Thank you, Jeannie.
Hi, this is Julio. I'd like to put my name in there.
Thank you, Julio. Anybody else who'd like to volunteer right now? Again, you're welcome to think about it, and we'll have Eva send out that reminder to folks as well. It is interesting. I have reviewed the applications in the past, or the nominations in the past, and it's really amazing, what these young people do. And you get a feel for it when the award is made, and we have some information. But even those that are not awarded, they're all very interesting, and they're all very positive. So it's a nice thing to see how many great young people we have out there who are doing such good stuff, and often without expecting any kind of recognition. They're just doing it because it's the right thing, and it's pretty amazing.
Dr. Meske?
Yes.
Rhonda Flowers. I'll continue working with Jeannie on the committee.
Thank you, Rhonda. All right. Moving on, I think we're still all right in time. With regards to the objectives for 2021, and I'd like to throw out an idea to you, and we can discuss in the March meeting. As you know, everything is virtual. A lot of students are attending school virtually, and I think this, as Joshua had said, this is a situation where cyberbullying and cyber aggression, if you will, are very real, because so many students are spending so much time on the computer just by the nature of what we have to do now. And it's a kind of situation where the school districts can't really keep up with everything. I think they've done an admirable job in terms of providing academic content, but to really know what's going on in the kids' lives and how they're working and how things are going on, it's a little bit difficult. And to dovetail with what the Mendez Foundation is doing, I was thinking the other day about the possibility of doing a short survey to parents in Hillsborough County to maybe find out about their experience with bullying and cyberbullying, their awareness of the potential for cyberbullying. We would not have to do this through the schools, even though, that's a possibility, but I know that this puts a lot of burden on the schools, so we don't want to automatically go to them. However, I was considering the idea of mounting a short survey process, again, perhaps through PTSAs or PTOs, with the idea that this could be just sent out as a voluntary thing. Parents could respond to a short survey. What is their experience? What are they seeing? Is there an increasing concern because of the time kids are spending online out of necessity? Is it perhaps, they already know everything and they're not too concerned? But it would give us a handle, I think, on the issue of cyberbullying in the community, particularly given the COVID situation. We don't have to vote on this right now unless somebody feels strongly about it. But I would like to get reactions from the committee to see if you feel like this is something that might be helpful information. It might be able to feed into the Mendez Foundation effort, but it also might provide some information for, policy recommendations to the school, either the school district or the Board of County Commissioners. Anybody have any reactions to this? We can discuss it, as I say, more at the next meeting, but I wanted to at least broach the issue today. Yes?
Yeah, I would like to add an addendum to that. There are a lot of students who are thriving on e-learning because they aren't being bullied at school as well. So I'd like to add a question or some questions to your survey that are directed towards that as well for parents, because I know there are a lot of students that are very happy that they're not on campuses, especially middle school students.
Yeah, wonderful comment, and I believe you're entirely right. Really, we shouldn't presume, in terms of whether things are better or worse. We just want information, and having that perspective is very important. I appreciate that. Tom?
I think it's a great idea, Dr. Massey. It's almost like we have an obligation because of the nature of our board to understand what the environment is out there, and it's changed so dramatically with this COVID situation. Raymond, would it be an opportunity to use Peachjar to send out a Survey Monkey type of survey to the parents to gauge this, if we were to come up with some more information and a specific survey that we'd want to put out there?
Peachjar could be a possibility, but I know the school district has a whole department in assessment that has to bless any survey that we do share or develop. So that's a little out of my scope to be able to answer.
Okay, but potentially, if we got those approvals, maybe that's a heck of a way to distribute it, Dr. Massey.
Well, I'd also say that they are currently using Panorama survey for the students to get a gauge on how they're feeling at the schools at the moment. I haven't seen the questions, but we could even look at what those questions would look like if we gear and adjust the questions for a survey that's already out to, elicit that. So we can, I believe, and Ray knows, like, that's one of the ones that the assessment group is using. It's Panorama. So it's a feeling, it's the general feeling of students on campus and off campus. And I would love to see if those questions can also be geared towards what is it like at home as well. Because traditionally, that survey had been years past, well before COVID started.
Right.
So my guess is all the questions are geared towards safety at school, which is, we should be able to maybe just flip the questions or add additional questions in.
And so there may be I'm very sensitive to the school situation because, schools have a tremendous burden. And I know we've all worked with school districts, and they have, they're required to bureaucracy, for lack of a better word, because they have such a huge responsibility for the welfare of the kids. So I always want to be very careful about volunteering the schools for any kind of effort. But they are they are currently doing this Panorama survey?
Correct. It was administered to the students as a baseline, and then they'll get another feel for the student. But the goal is that would be almost a yearly piece of getting to gauge the feel of the students. Yeah, absolutely.
So if I might call on you, can you investigate the potential to either piggyback something, suggest a few questions? Is there any flexibility or opportunity? And again, recognizing the constraints the schools function under.
Yeah.
If we were to know something like that, we could kind of plan accordingly.
Yes.
Fantastic. Thank you. So for the next meeting, I'll try to bring some ideas for a survey. It sounds like we don't have any major objections to it, and I can write up a proposal or a brief description of something, at least to give the committee a better idea of some of the opportunities and what it might look like. Any other questions or comments? Anybody virtual who would like to add anything? All right, thank you. So with regards to kind of objectives for 2021, I think we have a few things already. We have the notion of a speakers bureau. We're going to go forward with the award. The idea of a survey seems like it's potentially receptive to the committee. Any other issues that the committee feels like we should pursue for our 2021 roughly calendar year?
I'm a broken record on this. I know this is all I ever talk about, but fundraising, I think, is something I really want to focus on. We kind of step back a year from it because the type of fundraiser events that would serve us best are not happening, but that landscape could be changing. And I think besides the financial impact of it, the financial benefits, just the opportunity to get our name out there and gain some sort of recognition for what we do and open up some dialogue is going to be very beneficial. So absolutely more to come to that after we start with the Speaker Bureau. I'd like to keep bringing this up and making sure it's fresh in our minds at least.
Okay. And at one time, we had discussed a subcommittee to deal with fundraising. Perhaps we can discuss that at the next meeting to think about what would be an appropriate some first steps. I apologize, guys, I'm a university professor, so I have no idea about fundraising. This is a hole in my experience that I know how to write grants, I don't know how to fundraise. And if it's anything like grant writing, you know, then it's hard. But I appreciate, Tom, what you're saying, and I think it's very critical because it gives us the flexibility to pursue ideas, to do promotions, to raise awareness in a way that is just not otherwise available. So I think it is a very critical issue.
I'll bring some bullet points for next meeting is what it may look like. Maybe we'll talk about a subcommittee at that time.
All right, thank you. Appreciate that.
Thank you.
Any other issues? Yes.
I would just like to throw this out there, and this may not be, I mean, this may be too political for this group, or I don't know if it's more a research venue, but the idea of COVID bullying, people who have had COVID and being bullied because of that in schools is an issue. Mask, no mask, that kind of bullying. I don't know if that's something we would like to look at or not. I know, again, some of that is very political, and it may be research-based, but it is a real thing. I know I experienced COVID bullying at a doctor's office after I'd had it I'd been cured from it for 3 weeks, and he wouldn't see me. So it's a real thing, and it's out there. So I don't know. I don't know if that's something for this committee or something. Hopefully this is gone and we don't have to deal with it, but if it lingers, it is an issue. Just saying.
There's no question. Tempers seem to be completely out of whack with regards to wearing or not wearing a mask. And I'm sure we've all experienced the range of emotions with regards to whether you should, you shouldn't, you should have two, you know. I'm not sure how we might proceed with that. However, we could, you know, whether it's with the survey or some other venue, we could certainly find out more information about the degree to which the mask, no mask, COVID, no COVID issue is arising. And of course that affects all age groups too. Perhaps people could think about that and think about how, what our appropriate response would be, or what our, and in terms of response, that might even be just collecting information or making a policy statement or an official statement from the committee. All right, any other issues? If not, let's mention the December 2021 meeting. Any other issues? I apologize, I don't mean to leave those folks on virtually off our conversation. Any questions or comments from people who are participating virtually? Okay, I don't see any. So one other item on the new business was the discussion of the December 2021 meeting. As those of you who have been around a while know, and just to remind folks, or just to mention it to folks who have not been or who are new, we usually don't have a meeting in December because we have a meeting, what is it, our October meeting, Eva? And then we usually have because of our schedule, the December meeting is a week before Christmas or Christmas Eve or something outrageous like that. So we usually do not have a December meeting. So we have an October meeting and then we have a February meeting. And it is true, it's a big gap. Perhaps you guys feel it's a Christmas present to not meet. And again, I'm smiling. But I think it is worth a conversation if we believe that we should adjust the meetings, perhaps have a meeting in October and then in January. This is something we can adjust for ourselves. Any feeling about this?
I'd actually like to see us not have that significant gap and then kind of restart over again if we can adjust the time. If we met monthly, perhaps that would make sense, but to go, you know, a whole quarter without really talking about what we're trying to drive forward just doesn't seem smart. You know, if we can make it a week earlier, 2 weeks earlier or something like that, that would be my recommendation.
So I appreciate that. And at one time, this committee did meet monthly, and I think the agreement of the committee was that monthly was a lot of commitment. I too feel like it's a big gap from October to February. That's really, that's a lot of time. One option would be to delay the December meeting till, mid-January, and then go ahead and have our February meeting. Another would be to move it to early December or something like that. Any preference among the committee?
Just historically, we did try the early December one, and everyone said, yes, let's do it, and we didn't make quorum. So that's when we moved it to no December meeting, but that's just historically how it went. Holidays hit and,
Yeah. And was that meeting shifted earlier? It was shifted
we tried
earlier.
early December. Yeah, we tried it to just do it early in the month, and it didn't go.
Do we have any suggestions or recommendations from the committee? I would be willing, I would suggest either an early December meeting or maybe a second week in January meeting. That would make January and February close together. Yes.
I would prefer early December. Do you guys have a mandatory attendance? Is that I know the Diversity Advisory Council did, and we actually would remove members who didn't. So I don't know if you guys do or not. I just didn't know.
In the past, we've removed people who have missed successive meetings, and I think there may be something in the bylaws, I don't have them with me today, regarding excessive absences. Eva?
3 unexcused.
3 unexcused.
They get removed.
That's what we were.
Yeah. So I think I would suggest we try an early December meeting again. As the chair, I'm not supposed to make motions. If I recall my Robert's Rules of Order, the 1 or 2 rules I remember of that book. Would somebody like to make a motion for either an early December meeting or a perhaps early January meeting?
I'll make a motion for an early December meeting.
Thank you, Tom.
Welcome.
Do we have a second?
I'll second. Jennifer Shiver.
Thank you.
Got it.
I don't know if we need to discuss, why don't we go ahead and vote? Is all in favor of an early December meeting?
Aye.
Any objections? Yes. Any objections? Jeannie? You're voting in favor?
No, I'm voting against.
You're voting against?
Yes, I am. Sorry.
Do you have a comment? I didn't mean to cut the conversation off.
Only that we did try it once, and so my curiosity would be, because of the holidays and because of the crunch of trying to get kids out of school for the winter break, if it would be better to put it in January. The other thing I was just calculating was how many meetings do you want to have a year? And if we started on January and then maybe made an adjustment toward the end of the year where we just picked a date that worked better with the school schedule. Because I just think that that's always a crunch time between Thanksgiving and winter break. So that was why I'm saying I'm voting against it.
That's a good point, of course. Any other conversation? Anybody? I'm going to go out of order here. Jeannie's points are well taken. I think the December is the low-hanging fruit approach. The other approach would be to perhaps even adjust the schedule, January, March example. I think it is worth noting that if I recall, the Board of County Commissioner budget cycle is a little bit more aligned if we were to change it. I can't remember. When is the Board of County Commissioners budget meeting? Is that in August?
I have to look that up.
Okay. Well, I'll tell you what, we did vote, and I think we did get a majority vote. Was that correct, Eva?
Yes.
All right. So I think we passed with 1 nay vote. Let me ask if there are any abstentions. All right, so I believe it did pass. This is obviously something we could revisit. Eva, just in case, just for the sake of Jeannie's concern, can you can you confirm that we could change to like a January, March, May schedule that does have some implications for things like the award process? But for now, I think this motion did pass, so for current thinking, we will propose a meeting in early December. And Jeannie, I apologize that I did not let you have your say before we took the vote. That's a little out of order. And with regard to the meeting calendar, is that published yet, Eva?
It's out on email. And if you didn't get it, I can resend it to you.
All right, thank you.
It went out with the agenda and the minutes.
Thank you. All right, so I think we've completed the agenda today. We do have an opportunity for public comment. Anybody, and any comments or suggestions, any other issues from members of the committee or those who are on virtually?
Dr. Massey, I have a comment, and it's not related to bullying. However, at Brandon Epic in 2020, we lost 2 teachers, and we're a small campus. We're about 26 employees, even with custodial. We lost 2 teachers, one to addiction issues and one to depression. And so in response to that, me and a coworker with our businesses outside of school are sponsoring a 5K. It's our inaugural, and I'd like to leave you flyers. It's April 17th, 8 a.m. We're not runners, we're walkers. We had no idea what we were doing, but we're pulling this together, and it seems to be coming together well. I have flyers, I have sponsorship applications, whatever you may need with me, if you'd like some of that, or I can email you, or it is also on the district website. The school district is supporting us with this as well. So we're doing it to promote mental health awareness and physical awareness. So if you guys are interested, we'd love to have y'all. We need runners and participants and sponsors, fundraising. So I have the flyers. I have information. If you want it, please see me.
Wonderful, thank you. And make sure Eva gets those, and we can, I don't think there's any objection to distribute that by email, is that correct?
I'll make sure.
Thank you, thank you.
Wonderful. Yes,
My question is, if you do change the calendar and the calendar moves, are we going to run into the same problem for November? Because that last week is Thanksgiving.
good point, thank you.
I mean, as of now, we're set for the December, right? It's
We are
10
set for
months away
December,
for 2
and we will determine the date at a later time. However, my suggestion might be as early in December as we can reasonably get it.
Yeah, me too.
Obviously, between Thanksgiving and December and Christmas is uniquely an American downtime, so we'll see what we can do there in terms of how quickly we do it in December. All right, any other public comment or comments or suggestions from members of the committee or those who are attending virtually? All right, well, I want to certainly thank you for your time today. I appreciate your forbearance with this process of mask and social distancing and microphones and virtual committee meetings. We're all beginning to get used to it, but there's always a learning curve that some of us never top off on. So I'd like to see if we might entertain a motion to adjourn.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Thank you, Tom. Do we have a second?
I second.
Who seconded? Wanda? Thank you.
Wanda. All right. Thank you all for your participation. Stay safe. Be happy. Try to find some enjoyment as we begin to round the corner on COVID.
Thank you.
And with that, we'll end the meeting. Thank you all.
Wanda, I love your.